Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Quark, a Minecraft mod by Vazkii. It has a special feeling about it that lends itself to vanilla players. It almost disappears most of the time, but yet it offers so much. I'll be breaking this mod up into several bit by bit so that you can see what it has to offer you. Please understand that it is only visual representations. If you want to read about this, Vazkii has set up a website that is extremely comprehensive and very well organized, and you can check that out in the description below. But first, let's get into this, and we'll start breaking this up section by section, bit by bit. For the first part, you'll notice that on the main menu screen, there's a little Q on here. If you click on there, you will see that everything is organized into different sections. This is just a way of breaking up the mod and allowing you as much customization as you deem worthy. If you're a mod pack maker, this is perfect for you. If you're not, well, maybe this is just a way where you can say, you know what, I don't like that feature, I don't want it, I'm going to turn it on and off, etc. This is a really good way to go. If you want to check out the Quark site, you can go here, you can donate to Vazkii here, and check out his Reddit links here. You, of course, can change your settings, import a config, and so on, but we're going to start off with over here. All of these are listed more or less on that website, but you can just turn off an entire section by clicking this here. But moving on, we're going to start off today with automation. To start off with, let's introduce you to the chute. Currently, the recipe is as follows: some simple wood. It acts similarly to a hopper, but not the same. As you can see, I have a chest here. If I put items in it, none are piped out, and it will stay as is. If you have something going into it, like this hopper for instance though, it will then drop items as fast as they are fed into it, and this is currently the speed at which the hopper will transport items. It specializes with its ability to drop things directly on top of the block that it's on. So therefore, for example, I have a dispenser with sunflowers in it. If I were to pull this lever several times, you'll see that the sunflowers are randomly thrown about in different places. This eliminates the randomness of it and allows you for a much more accurate dropping mechanism. Let's say I wanted to disable the chute. Well, there are multiple ways of going about this. One is with a redstone signal. So if I place the tulips in here again, activate it with a redstone signal, it will shut off. Alternate to that, I can just plug it with a block underneath, and it will just stop dropping the items. In fact, you'll notice that they are still in the item hopper and not being gathered in some invisible space. Next, we have the dispenser and its ability to actually plant items if given a redstone signal. For example, I have endstone, soul sand, a whole bunch of farmland, and just some regular dirt. If I flick this lever, it will activate all the dispensers, which have a variety of different items. As you can see, multiple items have been placed. The chorus flower has been planted, netherwort, several different kinds of seeds, as you see on the top there, including things like saplings and flowers. So you're able to use this as a planting mechanic and allow you to better harvest and replant items automatically. So not only can dispensers farm for you, they can also place blocks in the world a little bit better than they used to. Whereas before they would throw the item loosely into the world as an item, now they can place them, and if it is a block with a facing, it will place it away from the dispenser, or rather forward from the dispenser. And as you can see, there's a variety of different blocks, including iron bars, walls, and so on, that can all be placed using dispensers. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the jukebox. Well, dispensers work with those too. When a dispenser is facing a jukebox, specifically one that already has a disc, it will insert any disc that was already in there and remove the old one into its inventory, changing the song, allowing you kind of a multi-randomizer of discs. Now, if I wanted to, I can also just insert discs at will. But if there's no disc in the dispenser, it will not actually take it out. You have to do it by hand. And here we have an Underwatcher. An Underwatcher's, well, different recipes may change depending on the config options you choose, but currently it uses redstone, a eye of ender, and blocks of biotite, which can be found in the end after defeating the dragon. And what this block allows you to do is basically activate redstone signals simply by looking at it. As you can see, just by looking at the block, it emits a redstone signal and will activate nearby blocks. This option allows you to feed your animals a little differently. It's called Hungry Animals. And basically, instead of hand feeding your animals with whatever their preferred food might be, you can do so from a distance. Just by having the items on the ground, they can then eat them and breed as normal. So therefore you could have a dispenser perhaps feed your animals for you. Or other blocks that will drop things. This next feature allows you to further customize redstone contraptions with a slight timing option. You may be familiar with vanilla buttons that will last for a brief moment when opening doors, as an example. There is also now gold and iron. Gold is a very quick pulse. As you can see, it just happens very fast, whereas iron will take its time. In order to craft either of these two buttons, you'll just need to take the traditional wooden button and add either an iron or a golden ingot. Not only will this allow you to better customize redstone contraptions, but there is now another feature. Some of you might already be familiar with such an item, an obsidian pressure plate. Made of just a couple pieces of obsidian, when placed by a door, will not be activated by mobs, but they will be activated by players, as you can see here. Next up, we have something in the form of some iron rods, which will be used to make piston block breakers. Iron rods are made simply with some iron ingots and an N rod, and it will have a similar appearance and can be used for decorative purposes, including stacking. As far as iron bars, they will actually try connecting to things, whereas the iron rod will not. It will remain similar to an end rod. But of course, it does also resemble a slightly thicker version than the standard thin iron bars as well, therefore a little bit more fleshed out. Now, how it's used is going to be demonstrated here. You will not be able to use it with a regular piston, but you will with a sticky piston, or at least not without this just being used once. So to start off with, let's put a couple pieces of lapis here. And you can see that both of those blocks are broken. When I retract, of course, the sticky piston works and the other one does not, so therefore it is no longer useful. But it will still break other, more difficult to break blocks, as you would with an iron pick, like a diamond, for example, or others, but it will not work on something as hard as obsidian. You will also notice that pistons do have further functionality in that they can move entities. Now, there are some restrictions as to what this might entail, and also, of course, I have an example here with a regular piston, and then all the rest are sticky pistons. Now, in this chest, I currently have sticky piston, oak chest, and ender chest in the corners. Plus, I have, of course, your ender chest, your armor stand with some diamond armor on it, a redstone comparator, a minecart on top of some regular rails, and a melon. So when I pull this lever here, you'll see that the majority of the items were moved. In fact, the entire chest, including its contents, were moved. The armor stand, the ender chest, the comparator was broken, the cart and its rail were both moved as well. The melon was, as before, broken, which is still a good mechanic, because otherwise how are you going to automate breaking melons? Now, here's the thing. If I retract these things, of course, this chest would break here. They both still retain their same inventories, just separated now into two different chests. The armor stand was not pulled back, and the ender chest was. The rail was, but the entity of the cart was not in this case. Now, pistons have also changed in another way, and that is how they can push and pull items that are currently out in the world. For example, I have all these pink tulips. I have regular and sticky pistons for examples on this. These will push items away, and they can also launch them into the air, whereas pistons will also pull things back. So let's start off with a demonstration. You can see some of this, the non-sticky piston was able to be pushed a bit further than the sticky one. Then this one launched the item into the air, making for a quite interesting item that you could potentially, bounce around in different areas. Now, because this one was already sitting out here, it is now eligible to be pulled back, just like that one is here. It was just slightly off-center, though, as you can see. It still needs to be on the further part of the block in order for it to actually be picked up. For example, there we go. It is now on a closer portion of the block, and it will be pulled back. And as before, that one piston, having fun pushing things into the air. This block is a new block that's been added. It's called a Redstone Randomizer. Made with a very simple recipe of stone and redstone torches, it allows you to randomly distribute a redstone pulse to either of its two sides. You just need to have a redstone pulse being input to it. For instance, I have this going on a repeat, therefore allowing it to randomly distribute redstone signals. In this case, it's just favoring the right side, but it does tend to be rather random. I have tested this quite a lot. And it will just give to one side or the other a random signal. This is also a new block. It is called a sugar block, made simply with a whole bunch of sugar, made from sugarcane most likely. And it is going to be just something of interest. You can actually, if you place it on top, it will destroy the water block, but then once water touches the sides, it will then, well, dissolve. For example, I try putting one here, it does not go anywhere, and therefore it just instantly dissolves in water, will potentially destroy water blocks and so on if you place it like I am here, as you can see. But if you can have water touching it, it can then make some interesting effects, as you can see. So therefore you could create some interesting contraptions with these large sugar cubes. This block is also a new one. It's called a weather sensor. It's made with purpur slabs, as well as ender biotite, which may be exchangeable depending on your config options, as well as some glass. It works very similar, almost exactly, to the daylight sensor, whereas you place it down, if you right-click it, you can then make it inverted for its signals, but if there is no weather, it will give off a redstone signal to nearby lights, as you can see here. Now, if I turn on the weather, and just enter a command to make it rain, it will then start lighting this, and they invert it. Once again, entering the weather clear command, it will then revert and change these things back. This works in snow and rain, as well as you can see, in dry biomes where weather is not visible, but still affects things. And I think that's where I'm going to end things here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, be sure to spread the mischief to others if you enjoy this kind of content too, or if you think that they might. And if you want to support the mischief, please feel free to check out the links in the description below. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.